Welcome to part 2 of building my Adafruit mini Rover. There will be at least 4 parts. In part 2 I'm going to be adding the power sources for driving the Raspberry Pi and the motor controller board. Part 3 will be installing the Python libraries and writing some basic code to control the motors. Part 4, and possibly beyond, will be writing code to remotely control the rover. I'm probably going to jump fairly quickly from putty keyboard controls to either a Wiimote or a joystick. We'll see where I get to along that line. So let's get onto this build. Normally the Adafruit build shows this plate being this direction with the Raspberry Pi and motor controller under it and the power on top. I wasn't comfortable with how close the motor controller and Raspberry Pi would be to this plate, plus the 2 batteries I'm using would still make this fairly tall. So I'm actually putting this plate like this and fastening the batteries to it. So let's get started here. Try not to cross-thread it. Okay, so I'm going to mount this battery pack underneath here, and this will be the one that supplies power through my UBEC to the motor controller. And then I will mount this battery pack on top, and this will go through my Adafruit Power Boost 1000 to power my Raspberry Pi. And as I said before, I have a switch on here so I can turn it off so that it doesn't supply power to the Raspberry Pi. So let's do some basic cable routing. I've already done some pre-planning on how I was going to lay this out. Now, plus and minus. And again, as I said in the first video, I will do some cable management once I get all of this connected up to a level I'm comfortable with. This is just a little strip of Velcro, two-sided Velcro. I don't know what the term would be. But it will allow me to tie this down and make it easy to add and remove at other parts. Again, another piece of a similar product. Thread this through before I add in the battery pack. Now, I had test fitted this in the past. Always the fun part, routing cables. That's why I tend to try and use these Velcro strips whenever possible, as they tend to... Okay, well, there's a problem I was concerned about, is whether I was setting up an improper balance for my robot, and obviously I am. So when it, depending on where the wheel, the caster wheel is, it might want to fall over. So I'm going to have to call this setup at this moment in time I'm going to call it a fail. I will still load this up so that people can see it. I will have to take it apart and give it some thought on rearranging the batteries over the wheels to put the heaviest part there. I hadn't thought of that when I mounted this. I was so happy that I could mount the posts and whatnot to make this a much sturdier mount. I will now have to move the Raspberry Pi to the back and move the batteries to the front, and that will become part 3 of my video. Thank you for watching.